So you should by now have a good first draft of your brand strategy. You should also have a good idea of what brand identity is. And it's time for us to, move into the phase where we're going to bring your brand to life. And when we do that, and when we create, your visual identity and your brand identity, it's quite likely that you will want to work with some external partners like agencies and freelancers, right? So in this section, we're going to cover how to do that. I'm going to lead you through, how do you actually find the talent, and how do you find good talent to work on your brand for you, and how do you work with them? How do you tell them what you want, and how do you give feedback to them, and so on. Because in the end, it is the agency, it is the freelancer that will do a lot of the heavy lifting here of translating your brand strategy into your brand identity. But, if you're not able to, find someone good to do that, or you're not able to kind of instruct them and, be clear with them on what it is that you want to achieve, you will not get good result, right? So that's why this section is very important. And obviously I have quite some experience when it comes to working with agencies. I mean, I've been working myself in big agencies. I've run my own agencies. I have an agency today even. And I worked on the ordering side. I worked for big companies ordering work from large agencies. I've also worked with in small businesses where I work with freelancers and small agencies on tight budgets. So I have a lot of experience working on both sides here basically, and I'm gonna try to focus on the things that will make the most biggest difference to you, and to kind of give you that knowledge so that you're equipped as you move forward and you start working with external partners. Okay, so in this first video and in this lesson, I want to focus on the options that you have out there, how for finding talent to work for you. So we're going to cover where you can go to find talent, and then we're going to go in more depth on those to really lead you through also step by step how you can actually do that. So firstly, I would say there's like two different types of partners that you may be working with. So on the one side is the full service agency. The benefit of working with a full service agency is that they can do everything, right? So they have a team of people, some are specialized in video production and some in graphic design and, music, or, all the different things that you will need for your brand. So you can kind of work with one person and then, as your main contact, and then, they divide the work in the team, and that makes it very easy for you. The backside of working with these type of agencies is that it's more expensive. I mean, they have more overhead costs, right, when they're running a bigger operations than if you work with the other option, which is freelancers. So freelancers are people who just work on their own, right? Maybe they're working from home, they have a very low overhead cost, so they can manage a more affordable price. In fact, it can be a benefit as well. Like if you're good in the hiring process, you might be able to find talent who are very good at doing graphic design for you, and you can find another person who might be very good at doing your website design or video production or whatever you want, right? And this way you can even achieve better result potentially than with a full service agency that is doing everything. But obviously that requires a bit more work, and that's very like generally said, right? There's many very talented full services agencies that do everything very well. Obviously the price is kind of probably the determining factor. But let's dive into kind of the options you have for where to go and to find this talent. And as said, I will go into more depth on each of the things that you see on the screen right now, but I just wanted to kind of give you an overview here of how I look at those platforms and how I work with those different platforms, just so that you kind of have an overall idea before we dive into them in more depth. Okay, so one of the platforms that I use is called Behance, and that is something that I recommend you use as well, in particular to find inspiration. So Behance is a platform that is owned by Adobe. You might be familiar with Adobe. They create software, the software that agencies and freelancers work with. This is software like Photoshop, Premiere for video editing, InDesign. You might be familiar with some of those software solutions. So it's Adobe that have created this platform called Behance with really the purpose to allow agencies and freelancers who are working with their tools to be able to share their work and to share their portfolio, so that they that way can get clients and be able to present the work that they have done. So Behance is great for finding inspiration, to go on there and to kind of look for similar type of things that you want to create, just to kind of get a feel for what you could do and just get ideas. It's probably a platform that you've been using a lot before is Pinterest, which you can also use for like inspiration, right? But I would say Behance is a step up from that. You get more like proper agency work to look at, which I think is great. We did cover in some previous presentation where I led you through like the brand identity. I showed you some examples. If you want more things like that to inspire you, I strongly recommend Behance. Obviously, you can use Behance as well to hire talent. In the end, you will be browsing portfolio work done by agencies and freelancers, and if you like what you see, you can also reach out to them and hire them. The platform does not have support for the actual like hiring process and payment process and all that, so it will be managed more in a traditional way, like separate from the platform. But it's still a way that if you find good stuff, you can reach out to that freelancer, that agency, to kind of get in touch with them and to see what they can do for you, and then manage that separately. So we will go into Behance in a separate video coming soon. And then to kind of get work done, other places you can use is, you can of course use like a traditional local agency, but two other platforms that I would recommend are 99 Designs and Upwork. So let's just talk through those options a little bit more so that you understand kind of the difference. And again, we will go into them in more depth as well, and I will show you step by step how to use them, but just so you have an overview, okay? So 99 Designs, what I like about 99 Designs is that it's very easy to use, and it's a very like simple and secure way to get quality work done, okay? So they have a process where they actually like work with the designers that are on this platform to make sure that what they deliver is good quality. They manage a big part of that for you. So when you use that platform, you can be feel more safe that the work you will get will be done by someone with high quality that you can trust. So it is really the most easy way to use it. It's a little bit more expensive than the other option we will look at shortly. But because they have a little bit of that overhead when they kind of like make sure that what you get will be high quality and so on. And so typically the prices will be a little bit higher. So it's something that I would recommend, if you have a little bit of budget set aside for creating your brand and you just want to make sure like, you just want to have it done and you want to have it done easily and fast, then I think 99 Designs is a good place to go. Another limitation with 99 Designs is that it's purely design work, okay? So you cannot order other types of work than design. So it's a great platform to kind of, if you want to create your brand identity and your visual identity profile, which is one of the things where I really recommend you use an agency. A lot of other things you can do yourself as well, but to have that kind of first base with your visual identity, that is something that is great to use 99 Designs for. And again, we'll look at that in a little bit more details shortly. The other platform that I would recommend is called Upwork. I personally use Upwork a lot. And it's a platform basically where you can find freelancers and agencies for all types of works that you need. So it's not just design work. You could use Upwork to find someone who, if you want someone to do market research for you in your local area, or you want someone to, do video production, design work, website, whatever talent that you want, you will find them on Upwork. So it's like a big network where freelancers and virtual assistants, if you want someone to do kind of just data crunching, or I don't know, you have some like task that you just want to outsource, you can use Upwork for that. So that's a great platform for any type of work really. They have very good support also for hiring people for ongoing work. So you manage payments and so on through the platform, so you don't need to have them on your payroll or invoice and separate. That's all managed on the platform, and they have a lot of like strong support to kind of help you in that process. That's another good thing with it. And I would say generally prices would be more affordable, I would say, is my experience, than from 99 Designs. Obviously you can find a lot of different talents. You can work with expensive talent that have a lot of experience, or less expensive that have less experience, and so on. So really you can set the pricing there and find the based on the talent that you want to work with. Probably the backside with Upwork is that it's a little bit more complex to find good talent. So we will spend a little bit more time on that later on, just to kind of show you how that platform works and what you can do to make sure that you find good talent to work for you on the platform. But it's a little bit more complex than it's not difficult, but it's more complex than 99 Designs, where you kind of just go straight in and just boom, you're off. Here you will need to put in a little bit more work to kind of get what you want. But again, you can find anything on there, and probably prices will be more interesting for you. So as I said, we will look at that in a bit. Your other option, of course, is to work with more like traditional agencies. So if you have a recommendation from a friend or something of a someone locally that you can work with, that's great. Of course, you'll have the benefit of having them geographically close to you. So if you want to have photography done in your salon, and they can support with that, and these kind of things that requires a local presence, that is of course a benefit. The backside of that is that it's typically more expensive. Obviously it depends on where your business is located, because when you work on platforms like Upwork, you can find talent everywhere in the world, and the cost of salaries are very different across the globe, right? Which means you can find talent that is not from your area in Upwork, and maybe they will charge less than what you would, or quite likely you would see prices that are lower than maybe if you're hiring in your local area. So but when you work locally, that you should expect to pay a higher price. So that's probably the backside with local agency. Obviously I think the benefits are obvious with having that kind of face-to-face contact and all that. But those are kind of the ways that you can get work done that I recommend. There are a lot of other platforms out there as well. So you might have heard of Fiverr, you might have heard of freelancer.com, and there's other platforms, there's quite a few of them, who kind of do similar things to what Upwork does in 99 Designs. And I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying I've tested a lot of these platforms, and in my experience, where I have gotten the best result has been through the platforms that I recommend. But that's not saying that the others are not good. And I would also say that most like freelancers and agencies are actually who are on Upwork will also be on kind of Fiverr and will be on other platforms. That's how they get find new clients. So it's quite likely that you will kind of work with the same talent anyway. So I'm not saying those are bad options. You could look at that as well if you find it interesting. But these are the ones we will focus on here and throughout this course. Okay, so that was just an introduction to kind of where the platforms that are out there and how you can get work done, how you can find agencies and freelancers, and what your options are. So in the following videos we will dive more into how do you actually work with them to get good quality work done, and we'll also dive into the platforms specific so that you can use them in the most productive way.